Welcome to Bookworthy, where we talk about the heart behind the books your kids are reading. Today, we're talking with the author of Dragon's Kiss, a Dragon and Assassin series by E.A.Winters. Erin and I are tackling two topics today, her adventurous book Dragon's Kiss and the dangers of spicy books for teen audiences. I've enjoyed watching her convictions, expertise, and amazing writing journey on social media, and I'm always both encouraged and challenged by her. I can't wait to share this conversation with you all. Welcome to Bookworthy, Erin.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for having me. What a generous introduction. Glad to be here.
It's a pleasure. We usually start with our random question of the week. And since you're a boy mom, as I am too, so I thought I'd ask, what is the most interesting thing your kids have somehow put in your hair?
I don't know that it's interesting. I'm going to go with like snot or liquid wax.
Yeah.
You know, candle wax, something like that. Fingers. I don't know. All
There's always something.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite going for snot or vomit, because I could definitely check those off the list.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's just a mom general term.
I can't think of a specific incident, but there have been a few.
It's always something. I had a friend who, they had a son take one of those toy mixers and basically mix their hair, which was lovely. And I know I've had a drone in mine. So it's always interesting with boys running around.
Yep. That'll do it.
That'll do it for sure. Well, Erin, why don't you tell us a little bit about your book, Dragon Kiss?
Sure. So Dragon's Kiss is book one of a complete 4-book series, the Blood and Flame Saga. It is so much fun. Dragons, assassins, royal intrigue, all of that. And yeah, basically I love fast-paced, high-stakes adventure with romance written in, but enough where the boys enjoy it, the girls enjoy it, and it's just a good time.
It's been a lot of fun. I've gotten to read at least the first book in the Blood and Flame Saga, and so it was very. You throw them in there very fast.
You're dropped into a botched assassination attempt.
Yeah,
and that's not a spoiler because it's literally like the first page. So that's pretty much what happens. And essentially, there's basically the situation where there's a village that every month a child is snatched. The dragon comes and snatches a child, and the village just assumes that I guess the dragon's eating the children. But Semra was one of those kids, and she knows the truth. There is a dragon lord in the mountain raising up his own personal syndicate of assassins for his own ends, and he is indoctrinating the children to raise up his own army for his own personal agenda. And when she uncovers a lie and starts kind of figuring out the truth, she risks everything to expose him, which ends up with a lot of shenanigans. And
with the whole 4-book series, right?
Indeed.
What was kind of your inspiration for this series?
Man, so I'm always asked this question about any book that I'm talking about. And I feel like I'm so boring about this because I never know, like it just, I don't know. It's just, somehow a what if situation pops into my head and it spirals from there. So I often don't have like a specific one thing, that's like, that's where that book idea came from. Like my most recent upcoming series or ongoing series, I should say. It started with an idea of what if there was like a magical system based on like an MLM pyramid scheme. That'd be kind of funny. And I don't know where that thought came from. I don't know. And then it kind of like happened from there. So I don't know, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, I think, didn't you do a book based off a character that someone threw out a name on TikTok? And...
Oh, that is true. Wow. Look at you. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, basically one time I was like in the middle of writing and I needed a name for a character and all I wanted was a letter to inspire ideas. That's all I wanted. I wanted a letter.
You got a lot more than that.
Yeah. And my husband said Frizzlesworth. What in the actual heck? It's the ugliest name I've ever heard of. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It sounds like, I don't know, like Puddleglum from Narnia had a friend. Like, that's what it sounds like. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I made fun of him on TikTok for this. And then there were all these comments about what kind of a character this guy would be. And they were kind of hilarious and kind of awesome. And by golly, the guy has his own series.
Yep.
So granted, I still hate the name. And I use the last name as infrequently as possible. We discussed how terrible the name is. And he has a lot of aliases. And he never really uses that name anyway. So, but it did happen. Funny. Yeah.
Well, for a character that has to use a bunch of aliases, it's good that the name that he truly has is not the one you use if you don't like it.
This is true. Yeah, I mention it, but like I do avoid it, but it was funny.
With your books, you really kind of talk about, adventure and kind of Lord of the Rings meets Narnia ideals. What made you want to write those types of books?
I mean, ultimately, it started with just I like to write what I like to read, and that's something that I enjoy. I screen my own reading. I'm an adult person. A lot of people will say in the book community where spice is all the rage at the moment in particular. And actually, we saw clean and wholesome. This is not maybe what you asked for, but clean and wholesome as a category, as a book category, has been pretty sustainable over time. And explicit stuff was actually going down, surprisingly enough, until around 2020. Which we would maybe first think, oh, it's COVID, people are staying at home and starting to read all of these things. It was mostly, though, that at that same time, TikTok blew up. And this whole book talk phenomenon thing has centered around a lot of erotica and spicy content. So it's really interesting. And I do screen my own things. And in that community talking about books, it's funny because a lot of people will say, they say that I'm a prude, they say all kinds of things. And I'm like, I have children. Like, I did make them. They happened from somewhere. It was not the stork, as it turns out. But I don't need to watch other people do it or imagine it. I don't need to do that. And part of that is, my own personal like convictions as a follower of Jesus. Part of that is I am also a licensed professional counselor, so I have a clinical background and I know some of the damage both from research and also seeing the damage, not all the other damage. Clarify.
Thank you for clarifying.
Halfway through that thought, I was like, let's not make them think I'm that kind of therapist because I'm not that kind. I don't do that. Oh my gosh, this is going off the rails already. You're going to be so glad you had me on. But these sorts of things, right? Like I proof my own whatever I consume, right? Whether it's TV, movies, books. I write what I enjoy reading, and so there's a number of reasons for that. I could very easily give a logical, non-biblical defense of consuming carefully a different media and making sure that you are taking in what is beneficial for you and your brain. I could also give you a biblical one if that's a background that's important to you. It's an area of passion for me, and I'm not gonna read something that I am against, or I'm gonna get a lot of fun for saying against, but it's not beneficial. Taking worldview out of it, it's just objectively not beneficial when we look at studies. Specifically in adolescence, it actually causes a lot of damage, particularly to the impulse control center of your brain. So, short story long, that's a piece of it.
Well, I love that you're bringing both adventure and romance and excitement into your books, but also with this therapist background, with a knowledge of what our brains at different maturity levels can handle, what's both good for our minds and our hearts. No matter what faith we follow, there is still just psychologically things that impact our brains, whether it's the words that we say to ourselves, the words people say to us, and just the media that we consume. And we're in such a media rich culture right now that I think recently there was even an author that went to a conference and was talking about how editors wanted sex on the page for YA books, and YA goes from 12
Which is
to
ridiculous.
18.
It's illegal.
You would hope so.
It is. Yeah. And sometimes the author will tell the publisher it's for this right? Sometimes the author is wrong and they miscategorize it. Sometimes the publisher is wrong and they miscategorize it. There have been books that were on the YA shelves, and then finally they were pulled by like the bookstore or whatever at long last after however many, complaints and stuff. It's literally other thing about it, right? If you are people, I've also had this complaint saying like, or this comment saying, well, they read it anyway or whatever. Like teens are exposed to it anyway. It's like, okay, some teens are. There's a difference between targeting children with explicit material and a teen going outside of what is meant for them to read something else. They know what they're doing. Right? So like this is the difference between somebody sneaking into an R-rated movie. They know what's in there. They know what they're expecting. They know why they're sneaking. There's a reason they have to sneak in the first place, maybe even, right? Or going to a movie that's targeted for 7-year-olds and discovering that it's actually George R.R. Martin's gory rape scenes, right? Like there's a difference between that.
Yes. Yes.
You have to serve your market appropriately. This is doing a disservice and it is damaging. So yeah, that it's clearly an area of significant passion for me. Actually, this the Blood and Flame Saga, my Dragons and Assassins series, is dedicated, the first book is dedicated to anyone who has ever believed the lies they were told. And comes from, our main character, this assassin, is she's indoctrinated, and the Framatar, the Dragon Lord, that's set up as like this kind of father figure, almost godlike, and like I make the rules. He's this, controlling person that restricts freedoms and says that it's because of them. Because every child who experiences abuse will blame themselves. I've yet to see an exception. That's just what happens.
Yes.
And so,
no matter
and it's
what your
funny too.
level of abuse or trauma is.
Correct.
Yes. So even if you came from a good family, and you still experienced a trauma that affected you, you're still going to believe that lie that it's your fault.
Yeah.
No matter what part on that echelon you are. And it's true about all of us, even as an adult.
Exactly.
It's like there's going to be lies that I believe about myself that are not going to serve me well, but they're what they're playing in my own brain. And until we can change the narrative, change the, what we're consuming, there won't be a change in our behaviors. And so I love how you are both tackling, not just for the YA, but for adults too. Watching or reading explicit material isn't good for us as adults either. And it's like in that YA category, we're looking at 12-year-olds to 18-year-olds. It's like there's a whole lot of growth happening there, a whole lot of emotional things happening there. But then even still, you look at the adult market and it's flooded as well. And it still is doing damage in our communities. So I love how you're tackling that.
Thank you. You know what? There's actually there's a study that's my favorite one to quote. And I have so many people tell me that there's no research on this. I got so annoyed that I finally put a few together and said, here, just look at them. Because at first I was putting off doing the research because I knew that it was there. I'd already encountered some of it. To go back and find it. I'm a research-oriented person. It was going to take me hours. I was going to get sucked into some like research hole. I already know what I think about it. But I did it. I put it together, and you can find it. It's eawinters.com/research zone. There's at least 7 to get you going. A lot of them are adolescent specific. There is one in particular that's one of my favorites because it's as specific as some of these studies get for what I do for like fantasy novels and stuff. It's readers of 50 Shades of Grey. And basically what they found is that there is a strong correlation. We can talk about correlation and causation another time. There's definitely thoughts, both like bidirectionally, the impact would make sense. But where those who had read just the first book were significantly more likely to have had a partner that swore at them, sent them unwanted messages, like those sorts of yelling, like that kind of stuff, right? And then if they had read all 3, the significance of the abuse that they had experienced, like, really went up, like a lot. And part of that could be easily the normalization of these sorts of things in the culture, the romanticizing of these sorts of things. You're glorifying things that would make you want to die if you were in real life. That really, really bothers me. That's a lot of what this is looking at romance and saying what they're saying, is there romance? Like, well, what on earth do you mean by that? If by romance you mean there is explicit sex that might not at all be romantic, no. If you mean that there is romance in that, like by that, Pride and Prejudice isn't a romance.
Right. That's very true.
Right? Like, what the heck? No, that's not what romance is. I will fight you on whether romance is just people having intercourse, Right. That's not romance. No. Come on. So, but I also didn't set out to like make it clinical or I just wanted to have a good time and write stories that were fun. And then ultimately I have 2 boys and I want them to grow up, if they read what mommy wrote, I want it to be something that they can read. I also am unwilling to forfeit men in fiction. I had an editor tell me that I have a scene, this girl is dangling off a balcony and the guy does end up coming and like saving her. She saves him plenty of times. She is more than capable. It's not a concern. She's not a doormat. But heaven forbid there be one time this guy gets to like be a man and helps this woman up. Like, are you for real? She said, I don't think you should do that. I said, thank you for your opinion. And then I did it anyway. No! Because I'm indie. I can do that. I can do what I want.
That's true.
So,
But as an
there's
indie
that.
author, that is also, what is it? The danger in looking for books that are available in audio, in ebook, on Amazon, that someone could say, this is for teens, and a kid on their Kindle just says, okay, it belongs, and it doesn't. And so I love how you are, even in the space where you are the one making the decisions, that you're standing strong in the conviction that you have. And again, not glorifying evil in a sense, which I've done blogs on how our culture has done that both in books and movies, and just how there is this glorification of evil in our society. And it's heartbreaking. And as a writer myself,
making it normal, making it desirable.
Yes, making the products on the shelves be more aligned to the evil character in a movie than the hero of a movie. And it's like, that just impacts our children's brains. And I can see it in my own boys as they're relating more to the Joker and, these villainous characters. And it's like, we don't want to be like that.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's interesting. But Erin, did you always want to be an author?
So I wanted to be an author at the same time as I wanted to be a dolphin trainer when I was 8, and neither of those panned out for a while. I went to undergrad for psychology. I got my master's in mental health clinical counseling. I did my residency, got my licensure. I still see clients just once a week because I'm writing so much and doing kid things at the same time. My kids are 5 and 6. So, I mean, I've wanted to. I guess it was in the back of my mind for a long time, but I never really thought I'd do it after I was 8. And then it just kind of, I stumbled upon it, I guess. I had a poetic line kind of drop in my brain. I was like, that's kind of too fun to let fly away. So I put it in my phone. I ignored it. The next week I had this character idea pop in my head, and I was like, oh, and I wrote that down. And except for him having a name, that paragraph is actually pretty untouched in my debut. And it kind of spun. Once I got going, I fell in love with it. And I'm really bad at doing things halfway. So, the hobby thing didn't last long. It was and this is a career, and I'm doing this forever.
I've watched you make that turn on social media, and it's been fun.
You've been following me a while.
I have been following you a while, yes, for better or for worse. But I mean, it's one of those things. You started your journey around 2020 in a sense, and that's kind of when I started my writing journey as well. And so it's been fun to kind of watch your success and watch how you have defined yourself and grown and challenged yourself. And it's been encouraging to me as a writer to be like, okay, I can do this and be a mom and apparently be a podcaster too. We're going to add all the things.
We can.
All the things. So it's been fun. But it is neat that, those little ideas that we have as kids, wanting to do something. I think there is a freedom that COVID kind of gave us to be like, you know what? I can do that. I can just do the thing. Yeah, it might be hard, but I can at least give it a try. And if I fail, I at least failed, but I at least tried. So I think that's kind of the beauty of this post-COVID world in one sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always good to know that there's beauty and positive things to take from any hard thing you do. And anything worth doing is going to be hard.
Yes.
Or yeah. So, and that is interesting too. I one time had somebody, I've actually had this happen a few times. People would message me and be like, I want to write too. So I think I'm just going to quit my job and start writing. What do you think? And I'm like, oh, don't do that. No.
Don't do that.
I can't guarantee you're going to be making money in any particular timeline, but I can guarantee you have to eat this week. So, maybe build that up.
Right. Slow
so
progression.
it is work. It's a lot that goes into it. Yeah, but it's doable though. It's for sure doable.
Very good. What is one of the most impactful books in your life, Erin?
So for fiction, I would say, well, I love Narnia and Lord of the Rings, and one of my favorite opens ever was Black from the Circle trilogy by Ted Dekker.
Yes.
I haven't read any of his recent stuff. Some of it has gotten kind of funny. A lot of his original, I read 20 of his books because I read Black, and his open was awesome. Yes. I love things that sweep me off my feet right away, like that. So for fiction, that's what I would say.
Definitely the Circle series was one that was my first kind of, or a second, but because This Present Darkness by Frank Peretti was kind of the first intersection of faith and fiction. But yeah, Circle series was a lot of fun to read, and I'm itching to let my teenager read it. It's I want to give it to you.
I don't know. I hated green. I hated it a lot. but I really loved the actual Circle trilogy. So I just don't like Inception kind of like that kind of thing where I'm like, that doesn't make no. But
It's interesting given
anyway.
the way that Ted Dekker connects all of his books together. And
Yeah,
so it allows for that element that he does in all of his
it does.
earlier books.
There was even one though, like the whole book of this other book, the whole book, it's like real. And then over here, it's mentioned and it's like a video game. And I'm like, come on! I wasted my time on this book that I did actually enjoy. I wasted that! Because that's what it feels like to me when it's like, it was real to me and you just killed it. And it makes me angry.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, a lot.
You feel many things.
I do.
Too fun. Well, Erin, what can we expect next from you?
Well, the next thing I've got a dozen published fantasy novels and 3 completed series out right now, not including my standalone. And then I also have an ongoing series called Monster Makers, which is so much fun. Basically, it's basically fantasy, high fantasy with some game elements, which basically just means that there's levels. So imagine that the fantasy world has a magic system where killing monsters gets you XP that's turned into energy, experience points, and is sold back to the people like an energy company, like a power company. And if you're in the system, you have an inventory, you have banks, access, all of that kind of stuff. And if you're not in the system, you're screwed and you're kind of going to die. Like think about originally sending prisoners to Australia to die. That's kind of what kicked out of the system means. So we have a warrior class who is, working within the system, trying to make a name for himself and make up for a mistake that led to the death of his father. And then we have an unmarked girl who is trying to keep her sister alive, but she needs a medical device that is only powered by energy through the system. And so she's an engineer, she's hacking stuff, she is just trying to kind of piece things together and keep her alive. They both basically accidentally have to work together to clear their names when they are both put in hot seat for a murder. So it's like murder, mystery, fantasy, fun.
That's really fun. That sounds very exciting. I can't wait to hear more about that. Where can people find out more about you and your books, Erin?
You can find all of my books on Amazon at E.A.Winters. I also have a website, E.A.Winters.com. If you want to follow me on social media, see what I'm up to, see like kind of updates as they come. I'm on Facebook, I am on Instagram, and I'm on TikTok. Those are the best places to reach me there.
You're definitely fun to watch. You have a good time with you and your family. So I have been both encouraged and entertained.
You're glad. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
Good. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Erin.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It was great.
And thank you for joining Erin and me on this episode of the Bookworthy Podcast. Check the show notes for any books or links that we discussed, and let us know in the comments something your kids have stuck in your hair. Help other parents discover Bookworthy by leaving a review and sharing it with your friends. Happy reading!